Everyone, my name is Rajat Vashne, and today we are going to discuss a topic which is radio wave propagation. So, the term radio wave is generally applied to the electromagnetic waves which are in the frequency range of 10 Hz to 20 power 12 Hz, and the wavelength range from 3 into 10 power minus 4 meter to 3 into 10 power 8 meters. That is, radio waves are a form of electromagnetic waves which have certain frequency and wavelength range. Radio waves comprise of both electric as well as magnetic fields. You can see in this picture, this is the electric field, this is the magnetic field. Now that these two fields are at right angle to each other, and the direction of propagation is also right angle to both the field. So if this is the direction of propagation, z axis, then they will be in the x-axis and y-axis, which are perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the radio waves. Now, this is the electromagnetic spectrum. The waves are characterized, or we can characterize waves on the basis of the wavelength and the frequency. So, the radio waves, as radio waves are a form of electromagnetic wave, they have a frequency range of 10 hertz to 100 gigahertz, and they are further divided in this frequency range as very low frequency, medium frequency, high frequency, very high, and similarly ultra high, super high, and extremely high frequencies. Now, radio propagation is the way the radio waves travel or propagate when they are transmitted from one point to another, and how they are affected by the medium in which they travel. These electromagnetic transmissions move in space as transverse wave. Transverse as because the electric and magnetic fields are perpendicular to each other, and the plane perpendicular to the direction of propagation contains the same phase. An electromagnetic wave propagating through space consists of electric and magnetic fields perpendicular to each other and to the direction of travel of the wave. The waves are characterized by the frequency and the wavelength, as this is the speed of propagation of the wave, and it is equal to the product of the frequency f and lambda, which is the wavelength of the wave. Now, properties of the radio waves. In a given medium, the radio waves travel at a constant speed. So, if they are traveling in free space, they travel with the speed of light. Or if they are in any other medium, they are characterized by their speed as 1 upon under root mu epsilon. These are the characteristics of the medium. The velocity of the wave changes when passing from one medium to another with different refractive index. Refractive index is another property of the medium. So here, if wave is passing from one medium to another, its velocity changes because of the change in mu and change in epsilon. Now, radio waves are reflected by objects commensurate with their wavelengths, and if they are striking with certain objects, they are reflected back. And if they didn't strike with any object, if they are uninfluenced, then radio waves travel in straight line. That is now this is the radio spectrum, and they are characterized on the basis of the frequency range as very low frequency, medium frequency. So easy way to learn it is that write 3 to 30, 30 to 300, 300 to 3000 three times, and then write kilohertz, then megahertz, and then gigahertz. Types of radio propagation. So there are different modes of propagation of the radio waves. First of all, it is free space propagation. Here the radio waves travel in free space or away from other waves, which influence the way in which they travel. So only the distance between the transmitting antenna and the receiving antenna influence the radio wave strength, that is signal strength. So attenuation of the electric field intensity in free space is because of only this distance between the receiving, and there, since in free space there will be no object, so they will not influenced by any other phenomena. This type of radio wave propagation is encountered with radio communication system, including satellites. Now, radio waves propagate in free space in a straight line with a velocity of speed of light, which is 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second, and there will be no loss of energy in free space, but there is attenuation due to the spreading of the waves. Frequencies of waves which are greater than 50 megahertz are generally transmitted through free space propagation. Attenuation in free space. An isotropic radiator would produce the spherical wave. Isotropic radiator is a source of electromagnetic waves which generate waves in spherical manner, just like this. And the power density of an isotropic radiator is simply be the total power divided by the surface area of the sphere, which is given by this expression: PD is equals to PT over 4 pi square, where PT is the transmitted power and 4 pi r square is the surface area of the sphere. Now, transmitting antenna gain. It depends on the transmitter power and the distance from the transmitter to the receiver, but also upon the transmitting and receiving antennas. The two important antenna characteristics are gain for the transmitting antenna and effective area for the receiving antenna. So basically, antennas are said to have gain in those directions in which the most of the power is radiated. Receiving antenna gain. A receiving antenna also absorbs some of the energy from the radio wave that passes. So basically, a larger antenna receives more power than a smaller antenna in relation to the surface area. So a large antenna will have large surface area, so it receives more power. And receiving antennas are also considered to have gain just as transmitting antennas do. So the power extracted from a receiving antenna is a function of its physical size and its gain. Path loss. It is possible to calculate the path loss between a transmitter and a receiver. The path loss is proportional to the square of the distance between a transmitter and the receiver, and also to the square of the frequency in use. So basically, the free space path loss can be expressed in terms of either frequency or wavelength, and these are the two expressions which denote the free space path loss, where FSPL is the free space path loss, and D is the distance from the transmitter to the receiver, lambda is the signal wavelength, F is the signal frequency, and C is the speed of light. Now, line of sight. Another mode of propagation is the line of sight propagation. Here, in line of sight propagation, transmitting and receiving antennas must be within the line of sight. So this is the direct wave propagation. Here you can see this is the transmitting antenna, this is the receiving antenna, and this is the direct propagation. So here the signals are mostly influenced by the variation of the refractive index in the troposphere just above the Earth's surface. And tropospheric radio propagation is often by means by which signals at very high frequency and above are heard over extended distances. And this type of propagation is referred to as line of sight or tropospheric propagation. So signals which are in the very high frequency range and higher range are usually not returned to the Earth's surface by the ionosphere, and therefore they are propagated by means of tropospheric propagation or line of sight propagation. Another one mode propagation is the ground wave propagation. Here, when the signals travel via the ground wave, they are modified by the ground or terrain or which they travel, and they also tend to follow the Earth's curvature. So the signals which are in the medium range, they are generally transmitted by the ground wave propagation mode. Now, there are different disadvantages of the ground wave propagation mode. Basically, it requires relatively high transmission power, and the frequencies up to only 2 megahertz can be transmitted through ground wave propagation. And it also requires large antennas, and attenuation also increases with the increase in the frequency. This is the diagram where you can see different modes of propagation. This is the ground wave propagation. This is the line of sight propagation. This is the ionospheric propagation, which we will discuss, and this is the space wave propagation, free space propagation. Okay. Now, ionospheric propagation is the part of skywave propagation. Basically, here the radio signals are modified and influenced by a region high in the Earth's atmosphere known as the ionosphere. The ionosphere consists of ions. So this form of radio propagation is used by radio communication system that transmit on the high frequency or shortwave bands. Using this form of propagation, basically stations may be heard from the other side of the globe also, because and this is possible because of the banding of this radio waves by this ionospheric layer. Here you can see in this picture, this is the banding. So long range communication in the high frequency band is possible because of this refraction, which is particularly occurring in this region of upper atmosphere, which is called the ionosphere. And the ionosphere is further divided into three regions, which is D, E, and F layer. Ionization is also different at these different heights above the Earth's surface, and is affected by time of day and solar activity. The frequency range, which is basically transmitted through this type of mode, is 20 kilohertz to 50 megahertz usually. Now, in this diagram, you can see there is an angle. This is called the critical angle, and beyond this angle, there the waves will directly does not refracted by the ionized layer, and they are called escape rays. And after when at this critical angle, this is the first refracted wave, and this is called the first sky wave. And beyond this angle, after this angle, all the waves are refracted back by this layer, and the distance covered on the Earth's surface is called the skip distance. Now, there are different layers of ionosphere. This is the diagram showing different layers at different time: winter day, winter and summer night, and summer day. So you can see during winter and summer night, this F1 and D disappear. All E and F are present, and during summer days, this F go beyond this level because of more energy in the ions, and therefore the different they are different layers during different time zones, and during different time, and therefore this structure gives the stable condition during day and night, but around dusk and dawn, the ionosphere in transitional state causes excessive interference and disruption. So basically, this ionospheric mode of propagation depends on the different layers of ionization. There are a few definitions such as critical angle, the angle which the wave makes with the vertical and the transmission point, which is called the critical angle. Skip distance, the distance between the transmitter and the point on the surface where the first sky wave returns, it's called a skip distance. And the dead space. The dead space is the area after the surface wave and the point of reception of the first sky wave. That is called the dead space. Now, polarization. A radio wave is composed of one electric field and one magnetic field that oscillates in a repeating pattern. So, polarization describes the way the electric field of the radio wave is oriented. In some cases, especially waves that are generated by natural source, the fields vibrate in multiple random orientations and said to unpolarize. But when waves are generated from or pass through an intentionally polarizing device such as antenna, the fields are restricted in movement and are said to be polarized. We have three types of polarization: linear polarization, circular, and elliptical. You can see when the electric field components are in same phase, then it is called linear polarization. If the electric field consists of two linear components that are perpendicular to each other, or they are equal in magnitude but they have a phase difference of pi by 2, then the resulting electric field rotates in a circle around the direction propagation, and depending on the rotation direction, it is maybe left-handed or right-handed circularly polarized. Yeah, and elliptical polarization, when the electric field have describes an ellipse, this results from the combination of two linear components with different amplitudes and different phase difference, that is which is not pi by 2. This is the most general description of polarized light, and circular and linear polarized can be viewed as special cases of the elliptically polarized light. So you can see in this diagram, this is the linearly polarized, this is the circularly polarized, and this is the elliptically polarized. Now, there are three properties which are shared by the light waves and the radio wave. They are reflection, refraction, and diffraction. So, reflection of waves from a smooth surface results in the angle of reflection being equal to the angle of incidence. A transition from one medium to another medium results in the banding of radio wave, just as it does with the light, and this is called refraction. And in reflection, the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection, and here the refraction Snell's law governs the behavior of the EM wave being refracted by this law, Snell's law, which is n1 upon n2 is equals to sine theta 2 upon sine theta 1. Here theta 2 is the angle of refraction, theta 1 is the angle of incidence, and n1 and n2 are the refractive indices of both the medium 1 and medium 2. Diffraction is another property. Here when the wavelength of the wave is much larger than the surfaces involved, then diffraction occurs. And as a result of diffraction, EM waves can appear to go around corners. You can see in this picture, they are usually done. This is usually done when the object has sharp edges. So basically, the radio waves move in the form of circles. This is the diffraction, and diffraction is more apparent when the object has sharp edges. That is when the dimensions are small in comparison to the wavelength. Thank you.